Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is uh, 10 minutes till 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, September 5th. So, looking back at yesterday's session, right, we had that sell off on Tuesday's session, right? So, first trading day of the week because of the holiday on Monday. Uh, so, basically, we had quite a bit of poor structure in that Tuesday session. So all we did yesterday was repair a little bit of that, and I should have followed my trade plan more. So I thought we could get up to these lower boxes, and that would probably be initial resistance. I even pointed out that probably in between these two on the Nasdaq at the lower would probably be a good place to at least if you're going higher to stop on an initial test, and that ended up being the high of the day. Not that we really rolled over from there, but that was probably uh, structure wise, that was probably the best trade of the day, and especially with the reaction at the VIX at the same time if you bring up that chart. So we've repaired some of this poor structure. We really didn't go anywhere. It was one of those days. If you look over here in the lower left for the Russell, is one of those days that, you know, on this flush down, right? That was the low of the day, immediately followed by a rise up, and that was the high of the day for the rest. So we've seen this in other indexes from time to time, and it was, very close to doing the same thing for the Nasdaq and the ES as well, right? They were all very similar. The Dow was the only real outlier. Uh, it wasn't coming from a lower spot, but all those highs were basically about the same time uh, yesterday, and then just that fast up and then slow down. The rest of the day was just distribution down. Uh, Really not a lot going on there. And there was really was hey, that jolts at 10, uh, and then nothing after that for the day. And we're really not going to have anything until non-farm payroll on Friday. And a lot of times that is just digested on Friday, and the move comes the following week, anyways. So as we look at what that did to structure, there was no anomalies yesterday, which we haven't been able to say too much lately. So we basically just found acceptance so far in the lower end of Tuesday's distribution, which is, uh, it's just, let's just call it indecision down there. I don't want to read too much into it at this point in time. So let's look at the news real quick. Uh, we had you know, some prints at 8:30. We're gonna have a print at 9:45, a print at 10. Keep in mind if you trade crude oil, the report's gonna be at 11 o'clock today because of the holiday this week. Nat gas is gonna be at 10:30, and then of course non-farm payroll tomorrow. There's really nothing else going on there with that. And the title of my video is QQQ 462 once again today because we have over 30,000 contracts at 462 on the calls. Once again, if we look at where we're trading on the Qs right now, we're trading basically 459. So we are even below the 460. So we'll have to see if, what the VIX. I'm really going to want to watch the VIX in the morning part of the session to see what happens. But keep in mind that that could be reversion to the mean later to the day. But first, you have to cross back over 460 if we look at what's left for the week. And you can see what's left for the week, even though tomorrow is, a normal Friday weekly expiration, which are typically a little bit larger uh, in size and magnitude with the positioning than the rest of the days of the week. That this 462 today dwarfs over, everything that's going on tomorrow. So if we scroll down and just look at, tomorrow down here, you can see that, after today, you've got that, it's basically the fives, as it normally is. 455, 456 would be, where really where you could stop on the lower side. And then if that loses 450. I don't think you're really going to make any traction below 450 on a worst case scenario, at least today. And then you can see that you've got a lot all the way down at 429. That would be a total collapse from here into the rest of the week. But if non-farm payroll is really a surprise tomorrow, uh, that could definitely be in play. But uh, I wouldn't want to bank on that today. You're going to have plenty of time to get on a short trade if we're going to trade 429 this week. More than likely, we're going to stay, you know, 452, 453 would probably be the lower end, and maybe on the outside presence, getting up to 470 at some point during the day, this week. Those would be your absolute magnitude of ranges, and that's what I'm giving you is over an 800 point range. So entirely within the realm of reason. So as we look at the SPY for today, you're looking at 559, 560, 561 to the upside. Currently, we're trading a little over 550, 550.45 is really where we're at right now. And if you see this, that's really where we're in agreement between the bulls and the bears for today. That's the lower end of the agreement, this 550. So there's really nothing to stop it from sliding back and forth between 559. That's about a 90 point range in fair value where there is agreement between the bears and the bulls. Heading lower, right? There's really no support uh, under there until you hit about 545. So that would be about 51 points under, and then you would be 100 points lower at 540. And then keep in mind that there is a small node at 543. For the cash market, it's the way it usually is. You've got, the big round numbers. Right now, the cash closed at 55.20 yesterday. The futures are down 5 points, so that would be uh, 55.15. If we look at today, you can see there's a large put position at 55.15. This is exactly where we are right now. If the market were to open, this is where we'd open up in cash. You can see that there should be first tier support just 15 points down. And if I look at the overnight session, we've been 13 points lower than we are right now. So we've already, the overnight low is just a little bit above this, where this would be in the cash. And you can see that these are, decent sized positions. And then if that gets lost, you're looking at 25 points probably fairly quickly as a test. And then you have to see where you're going to go. For the week, though, if we, look at tomorrow's expiration down here on Friday, um, you've got 5450 and 5400 is the biggest target. So that would be, about 115 points lower than we're trading right now. Definitely within the realm of possibilities for the ES. So I beat positioning up there. So let's get into the technicals. So we had this, 11-day balance or whatever it was up here, basically 2 weeks. We come down here. Now we've had that flush. We just come into this high volume node. We haven't lost this high volume node. This is where we found support. This is, the same area that was traded between June 17th, basically, and July 1st. Spent 2 weeks there then. And, so far it's been one day and this overnight session. So what I'm going to be watching, uh, the bears, it's really they could be in for a little bit of a squeeze up into probably a better short area potentially. If they can't flush it before the European close and get down to this 54.68 point of control and even under it at that point in time, you're probably looking at reversion to the mean. So what I'm going to be watching is basically 55.05 to 55.62, which is, if you look at that, that's just a little bit lower than yesterday's low. Yesterday's low uh, was 55.06, so just like 2 points under that low. And I'd want to see at that point in time if the VIX is rising and you're really starting to one time frame lower, and that could open up for a shot down. Because so far we have acceptance down here, which we should in this high volume node, and then we'll have to see if we get a break. And to be honest with you, we might just play in this high volume node today, and we might not make a decision until we get that print tomorrow with non-farm payroll. It could be another hold. One thing that we can look at on this, and this also lines up this 55.12. I got it marked as 55.11.75, but we come down here on Tuesday, we come down here on Wednesday, we've come down here on the overnight. So this is an area, and this just going back to that area in June to the beginning of July that I was showing you. That is that support, and then to the upside though, we should have had it's just another SR level, this 55.65.75 or 55.66, you could remember it by. But that was the high of yesterday, so I think we're caught in here. And what I want to see is if we can get a look above that or a look below there, and then I'm just going to see if it's a fail or a go by watching the VIX and see if you know. Pullbacks or fades are what's in play at that point in time. The ES has a little bit more of a pure read as far as I'm concerned. The NASDAQ over here really hasn't you know sh- tilted its head or shown itself as clearly as the ES has. So you can see this 2 or 3 day low that was from July 31st and August 1st. We've incrementally went through there with no follow through. Uh, but really what I'm looking for is, a test of this zone here between 18,725 and 18,486. I'd like to see price go into here and then either accept or reject. So this would almost be like your look down and go. Keep in mind, as far as profile is concerned, we are not in balance anymore. We are on an imbalance phase because this was the so above 55.66 was where the last bounce was. We're on an impulse break down until a previous day's high is traded above for both of these indexes. So the last real pivot, and there's nothing to say that we can't hit down there before we end this one-time framing down, would be 17,952. I don't think that would happen today. You would have to have non-farm payroll help that out, and that might not be till Monday or Tuesday next week, even if we are heading down there. And then you could get all the way down to 51.46 for the ES. If we end up losing these levels. So what we're really watching is the previous day's high, right, and these lows. So I think today probably has a high likelihood of consolidation, but you should be aware of what the bigger picture is because non-farm payroll is going to be printed before I get back on the mic tomorrow. So as we look at the ES, 28 points, very muted in the overnight session, right? If we look at the indexes, we're in value for the Russell, we're in value for the Dow, we're right at value area low as I speak for the ES, and we're below value for the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ needs to get up to and past 19,000 or 18,944. One thing I'll be watching for it after the bell rings, if we open below this, there's a high potential, I would say higher than normal today, that we end up with the 80% rule for it, which would target up to around 19,045. Keep in mind that right around 19,000, it's probably right around 19,005 would be where that 462 on the Qs is today. Uh, so that's going to be your magnet point on any strength that you're probably going to get a test of that because the positioning is so large there. Uh, And otherwise, the the bears really just need to break down if you're going to have a trending day down. They need to get below these support zones that I just laid out and keep going. So for the ES, that target would be on a breakdown would be 54.91 to 54.93. And then for the NASDAQ, there's really nothing. Uh, I don't think you could get all the way down here, but 18,406, and then you've got this larger zone, which it might be in play tomorrow if we end up you know going that direction tomorrow after non-farm payroll. This would be 18,243 to 18,323. That's really what you're looking at for tomorrow. Uh, on it. So I'm going to leave it here. I think, just keep it simple. If we end up, watch for a potential of the 80% roll and that 462. Don't get too greedy on that last 40 points up in here. I would say only have, runners technically above 19,000 and then, see what happens after that. On real serious strength, you're going to take out yesterday's high and you're going to go up to 19,115 to 19,126. I hope this helps you guys trade safe, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.